Jane here again from Longwater Tai Chi with Stay Connected. So what we're going to do on this video is talk a little bit about the bend and stretch that comes into all of the movements we teach in the Waves and Clouds Shrivasha set of Tai Chi Qigong. The main part of the body we're going to be focusing on is this area here, between the lower lumbar spine and the upper part of the thighs. There's a group of muscles known as the iliopsoas group, and it's particularly the big psoas muscle that is going to get involved with bending and stretching. Now I'm going to use a Chinese word because it's simpler than saying the area around the inguinal fold and the iliopsoas muscles. I'm going to say a word which you won't have heard if you haven't been listening terribly hard in our classes. I mention it occasionally. It's called the Qua. We would spell that probably K-W-A, there are other transliterations, but the Qua nicely, monosyllabically, covers the area that I'm going to be talking about. So what you're going to be learning to do is a Qua squat. And we use that for bending and stretching in the movements. So, how are we going to discover how this works? We're going to have a little look at this folding ability here of the body. It's where you might prime the legs if you were going to leap into the air. Now those years may well have gone past a while back, but when you were a child, if you were going to leap into the air, you would have primed your legs and then leapt up from that position. It kind of works a bit like a spring in the body. So we're going to rediscover where that part of the body is. I'm going to get you first of all to use the edges of your hands to just slide into the groove at the top of the legs, the inguinal fold, the inguinal groove. And that will locate for you the part of the body you're going to bend and stretch from. Now what happens with a lot of people when they first start doing these movements is that they bob up and down from their knees. Now this is not a Qua squat. So if I move back a little, we're going to have a little look at what might be the thing that you're doing. To start with, which is just bobbing up and down on the knees. Nothing's happening here. Core is inactive. It's not really doing a lot of good in the body. It also means that you can damage your knees if you overdo it. So we do not do this from the side. We don't do that with our knees. So where we're going to be working from is here. You see, when I turn from the side, the fronts of my knees are going to stay still in space, and I'm folding at the inguinal fold, the Qua. Now, I'm going to show you how you can have a little explore of this using a chair. So I now have a dining chair. And we're going to look at how you might sit down. And when we do it with the Qua action, we start to sit down by folding here, not pushing the knees forward, and lowering ourselves towards the seat. If I was to go all the way down, I would find myself sitting on the chair and coming back up, incline a little, and just rise up, the shoulders come straight up, the head goes straight up. What I'm not doing is bending my knees and leaning back and kind of falling into the chair, which quite a few people don't sit down well. Now that can put a lot of strain onto the knees. We do not ever want to strain our knees. A lot of people have quite weak knees already, so we want to be very careful that the fronts of the knees are never loaded or in discomfort. We want to have a quality of the weight of the body going more towards the back of the knees so that it's equally over the arch of the foot as we bend and stretch. Like this. So I'm going to have a little look at what happens with the rest of the body. Now this area here is going to stay open. So I've got my hands open wide over the midriff section of the body. What quite often happens with people when they first start trying to do a Qua squat is they're so busy trying to keep their knees still that they just keep folding here. So this kind of looks a bit silly, doesn't it? I'm not activating here at all. This bit folds, this bit stays open. It does not do that. So it's going to take a while to get this part of the body working properly again. But believe me, you can do it. If you can sit down in a chair, you can use your quad. Even just a small amount, a tiny quad squat, is better than bobbing up and down on the knees, which will hurt them, and it won't give you the benefits inside the body, or closing here, doesn't do anything, or bowing forward like this. This is not going to work either. This we would call duck's disease, like when ducks dabble in the water and their little bottoms come out of the water. We don't want that happening at all. No duck's disease. So we're going to keep the tail, we've got a tailbone at the end of the spine, and keep that pointing down at the ground as we sit into the legs. So little squats, knees steady, spine straight. Now, other things that can go wrong. And to start with, it will go wrong because you'll be watching the video while you're trying to do the movement. So we want to keep the back of the neck open. Now there's an area called the occiput where the top of the spine and the skull meet, and that's one of the weaker places in the body. A lot of people have discomfort there. So we want to keep that open. We do not want to do that. Now to start with, if you're watching a video, you might well be doing that. Doesn't it look silly? It's not good for the body either. So you're going to let the gaze come down with you. So at the moment my eyes are looking towards the horizon. As I start to do the squat, they come down towards the skirting board and down towards the floor just in front of the skirting board across the room. And then back up towards the horizon. Back down towards the ground. Back up towards the horizon. And that allows the top part of the spine to be well connected. The bottom part of the spine we've already looked at. That doesn't stick up the bottom. Now, the other thing to just check is that when you let the arms hang down, we've talked about that in the standing posture, so the arm gets a bit open, your arms are hanging down under gravity. When we do a quad squat, the hands stay well behind the knees. So even if I did quite a big squat, you wouldn't need to do it this big. The hands are still behind the knees. Now what can go wrong here? Again, we see quite a bit of this in class. People bend like that. Can you see how my hands have come way forward at my knees? That would be like bending down to pick up something off the ground. What you want to be doing is starting to sit, little squat. The hands, even if I was to go all the way down, you see my hands are well behind my knees. So that's going to keep the alignment of the body. And believe me, you're not going to find it particularly easy to start with. So start very small. A tiny quad squat. Make sure this part of the body here is sinking back in, not pushing forward like that. Again, we see quite a lot of our students trying terribly hard and doing this kind of thing. But sitting into the legs like this is what you want. And I think that's all I want to say at the moment. There are more details I can give in due course, but that should be enough to get you started on doing a good quad squat. And even if it's only tiny, it is there in all the movements, and it's a very important component for your health, your chi circulation, and for your leg strength. So thank you very much again for watching Stay Connected with Long Water Tai Chi.